Hello and welcome to From the South, teleSur's daily news show. First off, in Latin America, Venezuela's interior minister and former boss of the country's anti-narcotics agency, General Nestor Reverol, is rejecting U.S. federal court accusations that he abetted cocaine trafficking. Earlier this month, U.S. prosecutors announced an indictment charging that from 2008 to 2010, Reverol and another official took payments to alert traffickers over raids, hinder investigations, and arrange the release of suspects, cash, and drugs. Reverol has called the accusations unfounded. Angry farmers gave away 10 tons of fruit in front of the Casa Rosada presidential palace on Tuesday in Argentina. They are warning President Mauricio Macri that they will stop farming if they're not fairly paid.
The demand for electoral reform is on the rise. A little over a year before Honduras' next general elections, 2 years ago, the government promised to investigate accusations of fraud in the last presidential elections in 2013. However, little has been done, and though President Juan Orlando Hernández has now been cleared to stand for re-election, he hasn't committed to guarantee a more transparent vote. For the Libre Party, it is time for stronger actions.
We are in the process of transforming this country that has gone into the hands of fascism, with an authoritarian regime that has suppressed the separation of the state powers and has militarized completely this country that practically lives in poverty.
Zelaya has called the opposition to protest in front of the Electoral Court this Saturday, August 27, to demand electoral reform, including transparent electronic voting, the implementation of a run-off vote, and the inclusion of all political forces in the Electoral Court, which oversees the elections. But not all of the opposition is on board. The Liberal Party won't be hitting the streets on Saturday. Instead, its members are willing to wait and see if the National Party will make good on its promises of electoral reform. Among them is José Alfredo Saavedra. He is a Liberal Party lawmaker and the president of the Electoral Commission in the National Congress.
We still have hope. We still expect the ruling National Party to reflect, because the government should be concerned with generating conflict, and they are the ones responsible for leading the country and maintaining a peaceful and calm situation.
In 2009, Saavedra became the president of Congress after then-President Manuel Zelaya was overthrown. At the time, he backed a military coup, under the pretext that it had been carried out because Zelaya was trying to change the constitution in order to allow for his re-election. Now Saavedra's position is to wait. This has increased tension between the opposition Liberal Party and the Libre and the Anti-Corruption Party, who believe there is complicity from liberals for Hernández's re-election. The issue of electoral reform could become a breaking point between the political forces that support Hernández and those who don't. Gerardo Torres, telesur, Honduras.
Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto is warning protesting teachers that talks with the government will cease for as long as classrooms in Oaxaca remain closed. Tens of thousands of teachers refused to teach on the first day of school in Mexico on Monday in protest over the president's education reform. Peña Nieto's education reform seeks to break the power of teachers' trade union groups in Mexico, as well as require teachers to sit evaluation tests every 3 years. And still in Mexico, migrant activists in Mexico City called a news conference on Monday to denounce the crackdown of undocumented migrants passing through the country to the United States. They've accused officials of arbitrarily detaining thousands in the process. In 2014, Mexico launched the Plan Frontera Azul to tighten border controls amidst a surge in minors from Central America reaching the country's northern border with the United States. But activists say immigration officials are acting arbitrarily in detaining suspected undocumented migrants. And on to world news, Syrian government officials and Kurdish fighters have agreed to a ceasefire in the city of Hasaka, located in the northeast. The announcement was made by state media and follows a major assault by the Kurdish YPG group to capture the last government-controlled areas of the city. The trial of 2 Chinese Uyghurs accused of planting a deadly bomb in Bangkok in August 2015 was postponed until September. This is because the defense was unable to produce an Uyghur translator. The translator has gone missing after he was arrested on drug charges in June. The men are 2 of the 17 people authorities say are responsible for the crime. The Turkish military has shelled the positions of the Islamic State group in northern Syria for a second day. According to the military, it is in response to mortar bombs fired from across the border. They landed on residential areas, but no casualties were reported. The governor of Florida has announced 5 new cases of Zika. 4 cases of the virus, which is often spread by mosquitoes, were found in Miami, while the other was in Tampa Bay area. This brings the total number of cases in the state to 42. The Filipino Senate is currently holding a trial on the sharp increase in illegal drug-related deaths since Rodrigo Duterte became president. The Commission on Human Rights has warned that if the government fails to address and prosecute perpetrators, the International Criminal Court might take over the cases of the killings.
Dozens of Palestinian children and activists gathered in front of the UNESCO's headquarters in Western Gaza City Tuesday morning to protest the continued detention of World Vision's manager of operations in Gaza, Mohammed al-Halabi, by the Israeli occupation forces. A petition calling for the release of Halabi and the reopening of the International Charities Office in Gaza was handed to the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights in the blockaded territory. Israeli authorities arrested al-Halabi on May 15 while he was on his way back to Gaza via the Beit Hanun crossing at the border with Israel. Israel's intelligence service, Shin Bet, accused Halabi of diverting cash to the Palestinian Islamist movement Hamas. The group has denied all Israeli accusations and described them as counterfeit and fabricated. Meanwhile, World Vision has suspended its operations in Gaza and announced that it will remain fully engaged with the investigation that is underway.
The Israelis have an interest in closing all the international organizations operating in the Gaza Strip because they give aid to the Palestinian people. It is not only about Mohammed al-Halabi. We call on the United Nations to reopen World Vision office in Gaza to enable it offer its aid to the vulnerable Palestinian farmers and children.
World Vision is the world's largest Christian humanitarian and development organizations dedicated to working with children, families, and communities to overcome poverty and injustice. The organization has worked in Palestine for over 40 years, presenting aid to over 500,000 of the most vulnerable children through education, health, and child protection programs. Noor Harazin, teleSur's TV, Gaza.
And finally, Russia has reacted with fury after the Court of Arbitration for Sports upheld a ban on its athletes competing in next month's Paralympics. The ban was declared over doping allegations, which Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev said was a cynical decision. And that's it for From the South. More on these and other stories on our website, teleSur's TV/English.